Dunking on Elex is too easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see that. It's got a lot of change.
It's like picking on the lame cow in the herd that can't walk. Like, you fucking dumb cow. Can't do anything. It's just laying there. Everybody just knows it's so bad that...
This is going to age poor. Like, literally in a minute, that's going to age poorly. You know that, right?
Nope.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I am Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Rotten, editor-in-chief. Dynasty Warriors 4 is better than Elex.
All right. Rutledge Doggett, site founder.
And Andrew Stretch, movie editor.
Okay, and before we move on to the news, let's talk about the fact that
Dynasty Warriors 4 is better than Elex.
Yeah, this is the real news here.
Yeah. Otten tried to put out a poll last week voting about whether or not Dynasty Warriors 4 is better than Elex, and I would just like to point out that Elex won 53.8%.
Yeah, and I would like to point out
46.2.
that Rutledge pays people on the site, and they felt obligated to vote for what he likes. So he pressured people into voting what he likes. That's all this is. This is all rigged.
True. I've seen the screenshots. He's DM'd every one of us and said, if you don't vote Elex, I will hurt you.
People gave me those DMs because they said, we felt so guilty about voting this way and what he did to you. We all know Dynasty Warriors 4 is the greatest game of all time, but, Rutledge threatened our families, so...
I'd just like to thank everyone who's listened to the podcast so far. It's a shame that it's coming to a close, but you can subscribe to our new Elex and our new Dynasty Warriors 4 separate podcasts starting next week.
What I find so funny about all this is someone who's played neither game is this isn't even like a hill to die on. This is like the deepest hole I will die in kind of energy, Why would you fight for either of these games is how I see it.
What the fuck? What do you mean? Dynasty Warriors 4 is fantastic.
Yeah, but that's exactly
Don't
what
lump it in with
Elex.
You're like lumping it in with Elex. What is this?
I feel like your poll lumped it in with Elex, to be fair.
Yeah.
Kinda,
You tried to do a direct comparison.
Make a point until his, fake news bots decide to go in there and vote.
As someone who knows that GameCube's Ribbit King, where you play golf with frogs, is actually the best game, it's just been enjoying watching you two squabble.
Is that
that's
Mario
a better
plus
game than
Rabbids?
How dare you?
I don't know, man. I mean, if your poll was like, what's a better game, Elex or Super Mario Odyssey, then it'd be kind of obvious. But this is just, I don't know. They're kind of in the same... Well, no, I would probably say Dynasty Warriors
to the bottom of the shallow end of the gene pool.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I would say Dynasty Warriors 4 I would buy more as a better game. That's where I fall on it. Okay.
It's the best game ever made. Continue.
I don't think I would say that. But between the two,
people are wrong all the time on what they say, so please keep going.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Poor Otten having a meltdown over there, falling back into his QAnon ways.
He's lumping on Elex with freaking Dynasty Warriors 4. That's like lumping caviar with frozen pizza you baked too fucking long and burnt. That's what Elex is.
Wait, so is that how you feel about the poll? Is that you basically put on a poll saying what's better, caviar or burnt pizza, and then everyone else voted burnt pizza,
delicious ice cream versus shitty Totino's pizza that I baked for 10 minutes too long and it's all black.
You did say it was, 53 to 47% or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They both sound like burnt pizza to me.
Oh, my God.
That's a very... If it was, 99 to 1, then that might be something, but...
This is ridiculous.
It's definitely, that's too close. I think...
Yeah.
I think this podcast is
too. Is freaking Rut tweeted the Elex devs, fucking dick. And they tweeted too, and he voted. I was like, what the hell? You make me feel like an asshole.
Well, you should have tweeted at Koei Tecmo.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like they're gonna do anything.
Yeah, just at Omega Force. Please help.
Mr. Otten, Dynasty Warriors 4 was 14 games ago. Please move on.
Since then, they've been trying to aspire to the greatness of that peak that they, had so long ago.
Do you mean generating weeb content? Because it's been doing pretty well for them. I love
You
me
say
some,
generating weeb content. I say emulating greatness.
Emulating.
yes. One Piece Pirate Warriors emulating greatness.
I mean, to be
hey,
fair,
if you're
slap
gonna
it on the
copy,
box.
if you're gonna copy a game, why don't you copy the best game of all time? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, is that why there's so many?
Nintendo got in
Russos?
on it. Yeah, Fire Emblem, Zelda. That's why they're there. It's all Dynasty Warriors 4. What games are copied Elex? Yeah, fucking none. Case closed.
Well, that's because Elex is so unique, so special, right? Like nothing else could
God.
be like Elex, except for Elex 2, probably.
This is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
all of the games industry got together and decided Elex was so good it was unemulatable. They were going to leave it untainted.
Right. Well, because we're all part of that. You guys are on that cabal group chat of all the game journos who are trying to ruin gaming, right?
Game Journal Pros too.
Right. And we all agree that we don't talk about Elex critically because we know it's so good that it's untouchable. Like there's the 0 to 10 scale, and then there's Elex above it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So replace all those times you mentioned Elex, put Dynasty Warriors 4 in there. That's the actual truth.
You know what they say? You can't spell 11x without Elex. And it's just an 11x out of 10 game.
Yeah. So what word do you have to spell Elex 2?
12. It's gonna be better.
One notch more.
Oh dear lord. I just love how mad Otten gets, and that's why I just keep pushing. Phenomenal.
Ridiculous.
Sweet
Ridiculous.
tears.
No, it's not tears. It's sadness for the quality that you like, the things that you like. I feel bad for you. Really, this is you. It's like I'm finding the kid eating lead paint chips, and I'm like, no, slap him out of his hands, and you're just like, no, and you keep like munching away. It's trying to save your life.
Is Elex like the glue that the kid eats? Right?
He's the kid eating the paste, and I'm like, stop eating the paste, but he's like, no, and I keep trying to take it away from him, but he keeps finding it. I don't know how he keeps finding it.
Later in today's pod, we're going to talk about the Uncharted movie and a little bit of Horizon 2. But first, let's get into some of the real news from the past week. Speaking of games that are kind of like the Elmer's paste, Cyberpunk 2077 is officially out now. It's
heavy Elex vibes with this game.
Didn't you rate that game really high? Didn't you give Cyberpunk a high rating?
I would rate it 2077 out of 10.
We're gonna gloss over the fact that I reviewed it.
Yes.
Yeah, a Stack Overflow error causing corruption in game files and textures.
So Cyberpunk 2077 is officially out. It got its 1.5 update, which brought it to next gen consoles, or at this point current gen consoles, I guess. So it's on PS5 and Xbox Series XS right now, and I would like to move for us to update our game page for Cyberpunk 2077 to change the release date to February 15. 2022, if everyone's cool with that, just so we
I don't think it's
so
still
official.
in a fully releasable state.
Yeah,
To be fair.
sure, but it's in the most releasable state it's been. Yeah.
I mean,
Which
it
is
adds some cool
impressive
stuff.
because it now comes with FAQ pages of how to properly get it to run on Windows when it just won't boot for some reason.
It's like being
But
back
you've
in the
got to,
90s.
disable audio drivers or something.
You got to hack your PC to play Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows what it's
broken.
like to be a PC gamer in the 90s and early 2000s, where you'd spend an hour just figuring out what the fuck you need to do to get it going.
Yeah, aside from the next gen, current gen like performance upgrades and so on. I mean, they did a lot to like change the game itself, from my understanding. Like you can buy apartments now, just like they advertised 3-4 years ago.
Yep. Buy apartments, they like rework the skill trees.
Yeah, like if you have a save game, they like just
quite a
reset
few
your skill
things.
points. Yeah.
I know they like reworked how like the stat rolls on items and stuff and equipment and like guns and stuff like that. So they've changed quite a few things on top of obviously bug fixes, et cetera, all that kind of crap, and added those like 3 DLC packs, but that are free.
So do we think that Cyberpunk is going to become a No Man's Sky or an Anthem? Because I'm still leaning towards the Anthem.
I don't know if it'll be either necessarily. I mean,
The state it published in it was not great, but it was still, at least for me, it was a solid gameplay experience.
it's still a fun game. And I lucked out, like, so I reviewed it. I think I gave it an 8.5 if I remember right. Looking back, that's probably a little too high. But I mean, there's still a fun game there, and I lucked out and didn't really have a bug problem, like anywhere. Like, I had minor stuff, like where a car would randomly crash nearby.
And you played on PC, correct?
Yeah, so I didn't really have that much. Going with me, but I know that was
of
not
course
the
because
usual
they
experience.
didn't release review codes.
Yeah.
For the consoles.
I'm aware. It's some scummy bullshit that I called out at the time. It's awful. But I mean, so there's what they advertised the game to be versus what it came out being as this super RPG experience where you could just make all these choices about your character. It is not. It's got like the lightest RPG mechanics of like any fucking game out there. It's very light in that scenario. So like the framework that they've created for themselves and for like future DLC, because they're gonna do big story whatever. So like they said, they're doing the same kind of stuff they did with Witcher 3. So these big chunks of new whatever will be in there, and hopefully they've learned from this to make it a more like that experience that they kind of were showing at first. I don't know how they could do that without making a bunch of fundamental changes. So I think we're going to be stuck in that kind of thing. But I think they're probably still going to be good because like they still know how to do some stuff that's enjoyable. Like Cyberpunk, if you're just playing the game itself, there's all kinds of issues and stuff that they obviously didn't get to finish. Like you could see where the devs wanted to go with a bunch of mechanics and systems that they just didn't because they had to release the game. But I could see those being more refined in one of those big.
I mean, if you play the core main missions and the side missions and ignore a lot of kind of the tertiary stuff that didn't get finished, it is a solid gameplay experience.
Yeah, you'll have fun.
There's a lot there. The companion stories to me are phenomenal.
One
just in terms of the story they tell, how deep they go sometimes. It's not exactly a surface level companion story that you've typically got with most RPGs that you have companions.
Yeah, and
it's
one
like,
just got
let's go do a
improved a
couple missions
lot.
together.
One just got a big improvement for Rhett. A huge one.
My girl Pan Am got I don't know if it's an improvement, but some new features. Otten just told me about 10 minutes ago.
Sorry, my headphones are a little weak. Did you say nude features?
Yeah, apparently. I missed this update completely because I guess Kotaku posted it a couple days ago that Pan Am will now text you nudes, which is an interesting decision, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, and you can text with Judy's grandma.
Yep.
Yeah.
So two sides of the coin.
Yeah,
right. Equally fulfilling.
That's right.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's an interesting choice, I guess. I don't know if that adds anything huge in the breadth of the story, but
probably not. No. Yeah, I think this is one of those updates where it's like it's cool. Like I'm glad they're doing it for the people who are like, I guess, still for some reason invested in this game 14 months later, right? Earlier this week, my roommate booted it up on his PS5, so I saw it like in action, and I mean it seems like it runs a little better, right? Like, and that's nice. There's like 60 FPS and all that stuff, but I still think there's just something about it where I don't know if I would ever play through it all again. Like, even all of the bugs aside, like, I think the experience leaves a lot to be desired, but I think it does nail that feeling of, you're in a big city. Like, it feels like a really big city in the game.
Night City is definitely the best part of the game.
Yeah, like even bigger than GTA 5. Like, there's something about the sense of scale and like your place in it where it feels like, you could just like roam around the city, like just like a walking sim kind of energy, or like just exploring the city kind of stuff. That I think could be cool, like down the line once like more of the bugs are hammered out. But I don't know. I just don't know if there are going to be a lot of people who are like waiting for this moment to finally jump into Cyberpunk, but after ignoring the 14 months of pretty bad PR.
Yeah, I mean, on PC, I was, at the time, I was on a 1070, and I saw maybe one crash in the 60 hours or whatever I put in initially. But, like, the photo mode was really good in terms of some of the shots you could take, and the lighting was really well placed to create some really cool pictures. But yeah, I mean, outside of the main quest and the story quest, a lot of that stuff felt so unfinished. And I think if we get a 2.0 update that's as big as the 1.5 update, maybe it'll get closer to the original scope that the devs had in mind. And we can hope, because honestly, Cyberpunk is a game worth playing to experience. There's a lot there that is to love. There just wasn't on consoles, and there hasn't been until recently, because it was just unoptimized, and that's a shame in terms of the goodwill that they burned in doing that. I know that, The Witcher 3, from what I remember, had issues at launch. It was not this extensive, but it's a trend that CD Projekt Red has to buck going forward. Like, next game, you cannot do this again. You've got to guarantee that you're going to follow through.
Yeah, I think people keep coming back to Cyberpunk because there is so much potential for something like really rad there. Like Night City is super impressive technically, like what running through it and stuff. But gameplay wise, there's fucking nothing there. It's dead. There's just random people walking around. There's nothing to interact with. There's nothing going on. Like, you can't really go into many buildings or like do stuff. Like, it's just there. It looks super impressive. Like, that's still my biggest thing walking away was like, Jesus, Night City is just so impressively sprawling and detailed, but there's just nothing to do with it. So it's like, when you compare it to something like, if we bring up like Red Dead 2, like, or GTA 5, like, there's so much intricate detail and just like the breathing life into that city. It might be smaller, but it still feels like there's so much going on, and NPCs doing random things and things you can interact with. It's specific animations for something. Like someone pointed out, like in Red Dead 2, you can watch people like eating in a restaurant, and it like their plate, what they're eating on their plate, slowly diminishes. Like they're actually eating that meal, and so that's a very tiny detail that really doesn't matter. No, like that's an insane thing to be like, why doesn't this game have that? No, but it's just like, that's the kind of detail those games have, and why those feel a little more alive. Maybe they're not as sprawling, but they feel they have a little more character to them. But they also take 8 years of development, 9 years, and there's a reason that they do. And Cyberpunk wasn't in development that long, and it shows comparatively for the game they made.
Right. Like, what I can only hope for is, because Rockstar recently like confirmed, we're working on GTA 6 or whatever the next GTA is, right? Not necessarily 6. I can only hope that it's of the scale of Night City.
Oh my god!
But then with amazing. The depth of like how much like I want horse testicle depth in Night City sprawl.
That's right.
If that makes sense.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know what he's talking about.
Cyberpunk 2069.
There it is. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm hoping Night City just continues to get better. Maybe eventually it'll be like a really cool, just like walking sim kind of energy with also a story, I guess. But we'll see how the DLC pans out, right? Because maybe the DLC turns out to be really, really good, and it's like really worth going back into Night City for that, right?
Yeah.
In other news, Nintendo continues to misunderstand the internet and what people want, where they're shutting down the 3DS and Wii U eShops on March 2023, and people aren't exactly happy about that.
Yeah. Do they misunderstand, or are they just advertise, or their business strategies for a total different segment of the public that we're not thinking about? So, I mean, they're targeting.
Nintendo believes in generations.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, like, you're funny you say that, but like, I thought you were going a certain way with it. I see the joke you're making, but like, they're trying to get the new parents and the kids, like, here's this game, it's old or whatever, but it's still, let's re-release it and get this new crop of kids on this game that we know kids already loved or whatever. Like, that seems to be what the goal is to continually resell what they have and make it seem like this exclusive new thing. And they can only do that if they make it hard to get or impossible to get.
Right.
Again, and that seems to be what they're wanting to do. They're trying to take advantage of the parents that don't really know anything, but my kid seems to like Mario or whatever, and this is a new Mario game, which even though it's not, that's now out on this thing.
Which is why they sold the Mario 3D collection for only 6 months.
Yeah.
That's it.
They're all about this artificial scarcity stuff. Like, think of the NES, the mini NES and SNES stuff. Like, they were so hard to get forever.
Well, but then all of those games ended up on the Switch Online subscription.
Yeah.
So
everybody went
like,
nuts for those.
Yeah, I mean, that's the pattern that Nintendo has shown between those mini NES and mini SNES, and then bringing the games to the subscription platform. Having a limited way to purchase Super Mario 64 for the Switch, and then 2 months later they drop it onto Switch Online, and it's going to be, within weeks that they put Majora's Mask, the N64 Majora's Mask, onto the Switch Online store, while then, removing the ability to purchase Majora's Mask 3D digitally. I wouldn't care as much if they were bringing this stuff forward. I mean, the Wii Virtual Console or the Nintendo Virtual Console has always had issues that if you bought a NES game for your 3DS, that wouldn't, give you cross-buy on the Wii, on the Wii U, on the Nintendo Switch, and it just, like, to an extent, yes, Nintendo, if you put Pokemon Yellow up for $10, I will probably purchase it again. But that does not mean that it's okay for you to keep doing this.
Yeah. Well, what's sad is that they were kind of like the best at this in the past. So, like, your Game Boy to Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance and all that stuff, they could all play. And then the DS could play all those games. You could plug all those cartridges in, and it could play several generations back of handheld games, all on one console.
Until they hit like one of the DS iterations, not the 3DS, but like it was
the
DSi or DS Lite. Yeah.
Where they only played the DS. Yeah.
The DSi removed the GBA slot.
It's pretty wild that it had all those at its disposal.
Mm-hmm.
I think the DS is still like, is it their top selling thing? It's like insane how many they sold.
It might be, or maybe the 3DS, right?
3DS comes along really.
Yeah.
I mean, they also sold like 12 different iterations of
That's
the
true.
3DS.
The DS was,
and not just that, but there was like the Majora's Mask 3DS or the Pokemon 3DS or the Animal Crossing 3DS, right? Like,
but it just makes you wonder what did they learn from that? They said, "Oh, we don't want to keep doing this." Other than I know, like technically, it was probably difficult because they were a cartridge-based thing. It makes, but I don't know.
Yeah, and it's just technically, it's sad to see so many good games getting left behind. There's no way to pull a lot of those forward. Like, we have seen kind of some of the best hits of the Wii U already make their way over to the Switch, again reselling them. But and I guess there's still consistent rumors about more of the Wii U Zelda ports and even the 3DS Zelda games coming to Switch as well. And I don't doubt that based on Nintendo's track record, whether they announce it next month or in 3 years. But it's just, always a shame to see those systems just get shut off.
Yeah.
And you just kind of got a dead brick of a system. Well, you can still get like physical games for them and stuff, but
like used stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people are really looking at Xenoblade Chronicles X as one of the big Wii U games that still hasn't been ported, because like a majority of them have been to the Switch. But I mean, with the announcement of Xenoblade 3 from last week, I'm willing to bet that like around the time we get a new Xenoblade 3 update, they're also going to be like, and also you can get Xenoblade Chronicles X today on the Nintendo Nintendo Switch eShop or something. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if X comes around the time that 3 does.
Yeah.
And they'll make millions again.
Yeah, I mean, they did the similar thing with Chronicles, right? Chronicles 2 and then 1, like the 1 remaster or whatever that came out like a year after 2 or something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah, so I think Nintendo is just in the business of they know they're basically vaulting stuff. They're kind of doing like the Disney vault, right, or like the Destiny vault, or they know they can pull a lot of these things, just out when they need to or want to, right?
An easy win.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Is at the end of the day, if within the next year, if they have like Zelda Wind Waker HD now on Switch in one of the Nintendo Directs, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh fuck yeah, let's go!" Right? Because they just that's an easy.
And we're gonna forget this conversation. Like so many people are gonna forget this ever happened.
Exactly.
Like, oh my god, it's back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it works.
Like, that's the power Nintendo kind of has.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's pretty wild to think of like how much money they make when they don't do shit like that, and they don't really have games as service games. This subscription stuff is new. And for them, and they still are just raking it in.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's pretty wild. So obviously, what they're doing is they're content with what they have, but it just feels like even Disney came around, guys. Like Disney Plus.
Yeah,
a lot of their decisions continue to be, I don't know, baffling to me at times.
We'll see.
I mean, I agree, but I think Nintendo just has this magic to them, right? Where you can only play God of War on PlayStation, which, that's true. And there's a lot
PC.
Of power in that. Well, yeah, sure. But, but you can only play Mario on the Nintendo, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
And that feels like it has more gravitas than only playing Horizon on PlayStation, right? Like Mario sells so much. It's such a household name. Zelda sells a lot. Household name. Mario Kart, right? Or Fire Emblem. These Nintendo specific IPs that can carry consoles on their own. That's what they have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the strategy they've been doing for years.
Yeah, it's amazing how many they have.
Yeah, and it gives them this leeway to do this sort of stuff where they're going to be like, we're going to tuck this stuff away from you now until we can bring it out from the shadows again to get you excited.
It's like Microsoft or Xbox has Master Chief, and Nintendo's like, oh, we got 10 of those fuckers. Like,
we have 10 Master Chiefs.
We got 10, 10 people.
If we think about like the Switch launch versus like the PlayStation 5 launch and the Xbox Series X launch, it was like, well, the Series X is launching with 20 games. It doesn't have, Halo. Will it be able to survive? Or PlayStation, it's got all of this stuff. It's got Demon's Souls, but still it's only like 3 actually exclusive games. And of those, half of them are also backwards compatible. Will it survive? The Switch is like, oh shit, this comes with a new Zelda. And that Zelda is even on the Wii U. This is going to sell bonkers. This is set. Yeah. Like, they're gold.
And to this day, that Zelda game is one of the best games ever made. Everyone still fucking loves Breath of the Wild, right?
Yep.
And I'm going to be honest, dead ass, I couldn't have named a PlayStation 5 launch game until you said Demon's Souls. And I cannot name an Xbox Series X launch game.
In terms of exclusives? Neither can I. They made a big push for the Series X upgraded version of Gears of War 5.
Oh, there you go.
We played that. Remember that? Was it an Xbox Series one? We played it. I thought we did at PAX. Anyway, when we went to Microsoft.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
They made us play it.
But no, it's just, I guess it's, it's that part of that whole, like, pay with your wallet kind of thing of, Nintendo keeps hooking people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the thing is like they keep hooking people, but they also are still like we just said, Breath of the Wild's arguably one of the best games ever made. Like they're still putting out shit that's amazing.
I don't know. I still think Link's crossbow training for the Wii is probably a better Zelda game.
Right. Well, it's in the same conversation as Elex and Dynasty Warriors 4.
Yeah, that'll be the new poll. Which is better, Elex, Dynasty Warriors 4, or Wand of Gamelon? The CDI game.
Excuse me,
princess. You know what the memers are gonna vote on there.
Yeah, probably.
They're gonna, no matter who they vote for, they're gonna get burnt pizza.
No.
Well, no matter what they click, their vote goes to the Zelda CDI.
I am fine derailing this whole fucking thing and talking about Dynasty Warriors 4 for the rest of it. All right, if you keep bringing it up.
Dynasty Warriors 4 and Warcraft 3 dicks.
Yeah, if you want the Dynasty Warriors 4 exclusive podcast, subscribe to our Patreon.
Hey,
Don't make me. You know what?
Was
This might be a
Dynasty
common
Warriors
thing.
4 on
It's going to be a
GameCube or was that
54-minute diatribe
PlayStation
from
exclusive?
You know, I don't know if it came to GameCube because I played it on PlayStation 2, but I don't remember.
We have
Best
one
game
more
of all
news
time.
story here that's just kind of funny in relation to the Nintendo stuff. As Nintendo's saying we're shutting down the eShops in a year's time, the folks behind Dolphin Emulator were like, "Hey, the Valve machine can run Dolphin. The Steam Deck, the more powerful Switch, essentially, can run Virtual Console, basically. So you could run your GameCube, your Wii games right off your Steam Deck if you get a Steam Deck.
Your legally obtained backups that you make yourself."
That's right.
Not promoting piracy.
No. Just the Dolphin, the emulation software. That's it.
Yeah, you can make your own Wii games and play them on your Steam Deck.
That's exactly why people get Dolphin Emulator, so they can make their own Wii games.
Well, and they're just fans of dolphins, probably.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah, what kind of bullshit's this? Does it emulate you as a dolphin? That's false advertising, man.
Yeah, Echo the Dolphin for GameCube.
Yeah. I don't know. I just find this very funny because I remember the Steam Deck was announced around the time the Switch OLED was coming out, right? Because I remember there was a lot of comparisons of like, this is the Switch 2 or Switch Pro or whatever that everyone was hoping would come, right?
Yep.
Now here it is, and then one of the premier Nintendo emulation software just comes out and is like, and you can emulate all the Nintendo games on here.
Yeah.
and if you don't have the Steam Deck and you do have a Honda Pilot, you can run it there as well.
What?
Yeah,
Dolphin?
somebody got Dolphin Emulator working on a Honda Pilot 2016
Wow.
dashboard screen, which is...
Take that, Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can play Witcher 3 on Tesla, but you can play Echo the Dolphin on your Honda Pilot.
It's a weird time for emulation and legitimate consoles and stuff, because I know that the emulation scene on the Series X, Series X and Series S is also extremely healthy at the moment. Just due to dev access being so readily available. You don't even need to be able to boot into dev access anymore. You can just get RetroArch,
Oh yeah, that's true.
which is bonkers. I mean, I could definitely imagine people wanting the Steam Deck, not as a Steam machine, not as a Game Pass machine, but as a way to play,
Pokemon
Legend
Yellow.
of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D.
No,
now-
it's important to mention again the video game preservation stuff, because this is how we're gonna have games sticking around that we can't get anymore. And that doesn't just mean the Nintendo stuff that they intentionally lock away, but I mean there's plenty of games or companies that are gone now. They just don't exist, and that game is just floating out there somewhere, not to be purchasable. And it helps with those too, because there's all kinds of that stuff out there. And it's the work of people like the Dolphin Emulator people and people in that scene that we're going to have access to versions of games in the future, whether companies go under or restrict access to them.
Right.
Which is it's a uniquely difficult video game problem that no other medium really has this issue.
It's crazy to think about, 10, 20 years from now, the games that we may have grown up with kids are not able to be played on any current gen consoles. And that's, emulators will be the
PC's
only
always
way to
current
play
gen, baby.
Fair enough. You and your 3080.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's old
I
now.
mean, yeah, it's part of that same weird problem that gaming has compared to other media, right? Like when you think of, like film is grown up, right? It's mature. Books, of course, are mature and grown up. But video games, it's still kind of a kid's thing, right? Not as much recently, but there's still that kind of weird energy where it's not as mature as other things, right? So there's not as much of this this bigger picture idea of like, yeah, game preservation, of course that should be a thing, right? Like there are people out there who want to do it. There are museums out there who are doing their damnedest to preserve as much as they can, right? Like we have some features on them if you want to read them on our site. But like when you think of the fact that people still know movies like Citizen Kane and Ben-Hur and Gone with the Wind, and like that's pretty easy to watch even now as like these classic, like quote unquote, prestige film things, right? Like you can go and access it pretty easily. But nowadays, like for gaming, that's not quite as easy. For like prestige, like games that pave the way for XYZ sort of stuff.
I think it's hard to access them, but like if you talk about something like Citizen Kane is still very recognizable as a movie. And if you talk about certain games, like obviously they're recognizable as a game, but if you see how we got from like I can't even think of an early one to compare it to, but like the original Zelda to Elden Ring coming out, it's like how do you see that? You know what I mean? Like it's so different. Or the genres are so different. Like genres of film, it's like, okay, it's just a different kind of story. They're all recognizably what they are. But to talk about the history of games, I'd say it's almost more important that this preservation exists for all these different things because it's so complicated. Like if I were to tell you how we got to the tower defense genre, it's like, yes, it all started with the Mario Brothers. No, like you're not going to see how we got there by doing that. And so there's so many different things that are needed. Not just these tentpole, games, because there definitely are the big ones throughout history, but there's just so many different kinds and so many different things within games that are just wildly different from one another that the emulation stuff is, and preserving them is crazy important.
So starting this coming Friday, pick up your Steam Deck, the world's premier emulation / preservation gaming machine.
That's right. We all thought it was going to be the Ouya, but maybe it'll be the Steam Deck.
I bet you the Steam Deck could play Ouya games.
Well, somehow. I remember that's what everybody was talking about Ouya. Like, oh, think of all the emulation you could do. It's like, have you looked at this? Like, I don't think you're gonna do that much.
Yeah, that didn't pan out at all.
Yeah. Like all that came out of it, I feel like was Towerfall. And that, you can play that everywhere else now, too.
Towerfall's great. Yeah. And then, Rut's got the box in his closet somewhere.
In my box of consoles. Stretch has a bag of consoles. I have a box of consoles.
My favorite bag.
I thought... never mind.
Okay.
I don't even want to know where that comment was about to go.
Well, me neither.
Scrappy was talking about bags earlier.
Okay, interesting. So we've got treasure bags and boxes of consoles to talk about other sorts of treasure, like the Uncharted movie. I think two of the folks here watched it over the weekend, right? Stretch and Otten, you both saw this treasure hunting adventure starring Spider-Man and Marky Mark.
That's the PlayStation advantage, They got Spider-Man for Uncharted. That's really cool of them.
Yeah.
Do you want to start, Otten, with your thoughts? We have not
talked about it at all.
So this is going to be first conversation.
Can I start it with a question? Because I haven't seen it. Sure. You haven't seen it either, right?
I haven't seen it either.
Is this the Citizen Kane of treasure hunting movies?
No, because we all know that's...
that's Brendan Fraser's The Mummy, I think.
Well, I don't know. Indiana Jones got to be, right? If we're going to be real about the answer.
Like the historic.
My joke answer would be National Treasure, but...
Yeah. So is this a national treasure?
I think it's closer to that than Indiana Jones. But not as good.
It feels like, how they had they would have the young Indiana Jones kind of spin-off movies. It feels like that, but if you gave it a 2020 spin, like BBC Sherlock meets young Indiana Jones.
And then 2 years later they released it.
So I would you agree it's not a bad movie? I wouldn't say it's terrible.
Oh no, it's a fun movie.
A great movie. Like some people will enjoy it. I don't think I'm gonna watch it again ever, but I've now seen it. I think the general vibes of it is it's okay. I think the humor doesn't land as often as I would have hoped it would have, and the big action moments aren't. I don't know. To me, maybe I'm just so fucking jaded at this point and seen too many things. I was like, this isn't all that interesting.
There's no big purple alien to punch.
Well, no, I don't know. It's because I guess it was so hard to not compare it to the games in your head, and it's like, man, there's so much cooler action, set piece, humongous moments in the games that this just doesn't get to that point at any time. The game does it just so much better.
Yeah, I mean that's all the games really are, right? They're kind of like from one set piece to the next.
Yeah, and they're really good at it, and I just never had that moment like, oh shit, like wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, in terms of locations, like the locations weren't as impressive. I did like how, whereas the games are a whole lot of like, I'm gonna walk into a tomb and then fight my way out. And then repeat that 30 times. I did like that there was always a sense of progressing forward. That there was no point that, you end up in some ancient set piece and that hasn't been opened for hundreds of thousands of years, but also torches are lit. And then as soon as the MacGuffin was got, Nate would turn around and suddenly there would be a swarm of enemies that somehow also made it through the boulder trap that you just dodged.
Well, I mean, they kind of did that a little bit at one point at the end where they just blow a hole through and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We probably shouldn't spoil too much though, right, about the movie.
No, have you played Uncharted? You've fucking seen the movie.
Probably.
I did enjoy it. I thought, it's not gonna win any awards or anything, but in terms of just sitting down to watch a dumb loud movie with some popcorn, I think some to carry on to what Otten said, some of the grander scale stuff didn't land as well, but a lot of the like one-on-one fights, like the person to person,
I will agree with you on that.
That was really good. They really they knew how to capitalize on Tom Holland's athleticism.
Well, it was very Nathan Drake, because in the games, like, he gets his ass handed to him a lot.
Yeah.
And in this one, he's also like getting his shit rocked pretty regularly.
It's a lot of fail forward.
Yeah.
But I would definitely recommend, if you're a fan of like those kinds of treasure hunt movies, and you're a fan of Tom Holland, I would definitely recommend going and seeing this movie.
So when I was driving home from it, I had my thought, it depends on how you feel about the movie I'm going to bring up. This is, I think, the closest movie feeling that I had to it. So whether you like this or not is going to tell you, I think, whether you like Uncharted. But it gave me heavy Da Vinci Code vibes. Like heavy Da Vinci Code vibes. Okay. Obviously, it's not all about biblical whatever, blah blah blah. But it's like, we found this. Now we move on to this, or we interpret this to go to that.
It's a scavenger hunt movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that we've never there hasn't been a solidified genre for whatever that is. But yeah, you find a puzzle that leads you to the next thing, so you get a new MacGuffin that points you to the next thing, so you get another MacGuffin so that you get to go here. And very Dan Brown, very National Treasure.
It sounds a little like Star Wars Episode 9, kind of.
And oh god, yeah.
There was definitely a point in that got pretty MacGuffin-y.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes, I guess, maybe with the games we're so used to having benefit of the doubt or suspension of disbelief and stuff.
I'm also probably going to
wave that away.
Garner some hate here, but I enjoyed the movie. I think the games are dead boring.
Interesting.
We'll move on from that comment.
I've played the first 2.5. I've got the fourth installed on my PS5, but I have yet to be bothered to pull the trigger on it. And I know that 4 is meant to be, the best.
I think 2 is still the best.
I was about to say 2 is
okay.
the best, probably.
But 4 is probably the highest fidelity. Like, it's the prettiest. Just by virtue of what it's on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I played 2. And I finished 2. I definitely I'm not one to say that I dislike something while not giving it a shot. I gave it a shot. But I just the base formula just did not click with me.
Yeah.
But the movie I enjoyed.
Yeah,
I think,
I don't think 3 and 4 are gonna change your mind probably. Like, because like two is the formula, right? Like 3 and 4 are just like iterations on it, kind of.
I'll
I think
say the gunplay gets better, and the actiony bits of like the actual gameplay, like combat stuff, does get better.
Yeah, and I think 4 does character drama a little better, but you're still the same, like you go here to get this, and then you find out you have to go over there to get that, and then that leads you to this, and I'm a fan of like Ratchet and Clank and stuff, and like that definitely also suffers from the same kind of like you walk into a room and boxes and ledges are auspiciously placed around this silent room. So it's like, well, I'm gonna get the MacGuffin, and then bad guys are gonna appear, and then I'm gonna spend the next 5 minutes waiting behind a box to pop out, take a shot, pop back down, and then pop out, take a shot, pop back down. Of vodka.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It helps me get through the games.
Right. Yeah. Well, so can I ask, if this weren't Uncharted, like if this were like Treasure Hunt, and the characters were like Sam Johnson and like totally unrelated to the Sony mega hit video game series, do you think this would be like, how would it change your opinion of this movie? Do you think like part of the appeal is that it's a video game movie, or is it strong enough on its own merits, do you think?
I don't think it is, because I think that there's certain things that I know. Like I was thinking of, because this is a thought that I had. I was like, who is Nathan Drake in this movie? Like I know him as a character, but I was trying to think of how the movie kind of establishes him. You don't get to really know too much about him except, hey, he really likes this Magellan stuff. But that's kind of it. I don't really know who he is.
You could, as you said, like Sam Rando. You could paint him as any attractive guy who enjoys stealing shit, and drop him in, and it would probably still be an entertaining movie. It really does not. It doesn't use the Uncharted name as a crutch. If anything, if it had a title that was more clear to what the movie was about. If anything, it might mean that people who don't know the video game might be more inclined to go and see a dumb
I think it puts it in the
blockbuster
context.
with a dumb blockbuster with Marky Mark and Spider-Man.
Because it's I was trying to think. It's so hard because I've played the games and know them so well to like try to separate my knowledge with just looking at the film as itself. Because I think I had so much context coming into it that I just kind of knew where things were gonna likely head. That I can't really think of how well the movie choreographed that, like made that clear of like, was it easy to follow, or do I just know the formula well enough now that I was just, all right, this is Uncharted. Like,
right.
There's one
like
thing.
Da Vinci Code, it's a very base formula.
Oh yeah.
There's
one thing I don't know that some Uncharted fans might not like. They change there are some elements of 4 because you get a little bit of Nate's early life, like very briefly, of when he's a kid and stuff.
Right.
And they've kind of completely changed Sully and Nathan's relationship. It's unrecognizable from the games. And I think some people are gonna not like that as much. Because in the games, like Sully's very much like he's your dad, man. Like he's there to help you out with whatever. He's a good dude, reliable dude. And how they meet in the game, since you haven't played 4, is he catches Nate as a kid and is like, "Hey, you little shit, what are you doing? Like you seem like you're good at this stealing shit. Let me teach you how to do this." As he's an adolescent, and they kind of grow. He grows up with him as his partner and doing this stuff. And in the movie, Sully is like very much portrayed as this backstabbing, like, sorry, dude, you got in this fucking spy shit game, like where we steal shit. We're all about backstabbing and double crossing. So fuck off, kid.
Interesting.
And it's like he's just not the Sully that you know. It seems though that he's going to be that because they tease a potential second movie.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Isn't this like kicking off a potential cinematic
Seems
universe?
so. Like,
energy?
okay,
Yeah.
I guess to when they what they teased at the end of it and the vibe that gave and the relationship between Sully and Nate, I wanted to see that movie. So I'll say that.
So just like the games, you could skip Uncharted 1, wait for Uncharted
basically.
2.
Basically, yeah. Uncharted 1, you can definitely skip.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Because there's 2 after credit scene, or 1 after the movie and 1 after credit scene. If people haven't seen it, and they want to go watch it.
And there's also a few like fun nods to the games, of course.
Oh yeah,
Right.
cameo in there that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Can I ask, again, like, as little spoilers as possible, but I just feel like I need to be vindicated on whether or not I know Hollywood well enough. During the climax, in the part where it looks like the bad guys are about to win and then the good guys find whatever MacGuffin or the hero comes in to save the day or whatever, do they play a slowed down orchestral rendition of the Uncharted theme song in the background?
No.
Uh-uh.
Okay.
Missed opportunity.
It's all pretty modern music that I can remember.
The theme for the game does show up in the movie, but it is not at the climax.
Yep.
Is it during the opening scene where they show the word Uncharted on the screen?
No, it's
Actually,
at the
that doesn't
same
show up at the
time
end.
as the cameo.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
It's a real, like, you know, stares into camera, wink,
Yeah,
kind of.
they linger
cameo.
on it for a little while. I was like, boy.
Uh-huh.
And then it like goes on again, like he turns back to say something more, and I'm like, boy, it's still going.
and then you look down in your hands, there's a dual sense there. How did that get there? I don't know, but you're playing the movie now.
Yeah.
All right, well that's
Yay.
But it's good fun. I recommend go see it.
okay. All right.
Wait for it to come on streaming, I'd say.
Actually, yeah, no, probably SVOD.
Yeah.
Wait till Uncharted
stream.
2. Wait for Uncharted 2. Maybe that's
Wait for the SVOD. Wait for the drinking game rules.
Yeah.
That's how you want to do it.
Or just sneak a bottle of liquor into the theater.
Take a drink every time Nathan does something that you could only ever imagine Spider-Man doing. Because I can think off the top of my head at least 4 things.
I mean, Nate, in the games, he does some bullshit too.
Yeah, Nate's kind of a spider monkey.
Yeah, he's basically Spider-Man.
Yeah,
So what
just
you're saying is
without
I'll get kicked out of a Flicks brew house if I play that drinking game.
probably.
Okay.
Well, that's the Uncharted movie. I've also been playing I've been consuming a Sony related product. I've been playing a little bit of Horizon Forbidden West. It just came out last Friday, so I only have like a couple hours in. I just got to like the first big settlement area for those like who have been playing, kind of know where I'm at. Yeah, it's kind of more of the first, isn't it? It's just
That was I read a couple reviews, and that was the main theme that I got. It is just like, if you enjoyed the first one, then she's back. Aloy's back.
She's back again. Yeah, so I found that to be a little like, I mean, I didn't dislike the first game, but I didn't feel compelled to finish it. Like I got maybe a third of the way through the first game, and I was like, or I got to like the big city, I think Meridian, and I was like, yeah, I've gotten what I need. You know, I've beaten Horizon Zero Dawn in my mind. You know, like that's how I kind of saw it. And I wonder if Guerrilla Games, maybe because like they probably have stats, right, of how far people have gotten into the game and whatever. Like if you're logged into your PlayStation Network and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you could just pull up the you could probably pull up the trophy list and just like watch the percentage drop happen,
right,
as it goes on.
I'm willing to bet that they saw stats where it's like not a lot of people finished Horizon 1, because Horizon Forbidden West starts with a 5-minute unskippable cutscene that's just like, here's everything that happened in the first game, so here's the entire plot synopsis. So like I didn't need to look up wiki shit or anything. And if you thought of Horizon 1 as just like, oh, it's like Jurassic Park but robots, there's more shit to it than that. Like just kind of shows up at the end.
Not even just at the end. Like since you didn't, where you got to and the stuff you learned after that, like all the important shit in the story was well after what you played in the first one.
Right. So I got a 5-minute crash course on pretty much all of that. and then started Forbidden West. And I know I looked into like the skill trees. There's a fucking lot of skills in this game where I see some shit further down the skill tree. I'm like, that's where this becomes this starts feeling like a new game or a sequel. Because right now a lot of the game does feel like Horizon Zero Dawn, but prettier, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. But you know, early on you get essentially a hook shot, and that's the moment where it's like, okay, this is we're getting somewhere, right? I'm waiting for the paraglider because like they showed that in all the trailers, and I feel like that's going to be a game changer. But then, you know, there's some stuff later in the combat skill tree that looks a lot like Devil May Cry-ish, where it's very like, you know, if you go to melee then switch to ranged, like there's synergy going on there, and that is the stuff I'm really looking forward to. And I'm hoping that is enough of a change to the gameplay loop where I'm like, all right, this is some cool shit. Instead
Gotta
of
practice your combos.
Yeah, because right now I'm just feeling like this is some more shit instead of this is some cool shit, you know? Which again, not a bad thing, but I'm hoping to be more excited by the game, you know, as I spend more hours with it.
And Autumn and Rut, did you finish Horizon Zero Dawn?
I'm the one who reviewed it on the site.
Okay.
Yeah, I beat it on PS4, and then when it came out on PC, I did everything but the last achievement, which is beating it a second time.
And Autumn, yours is in the mail, right? You got hit by the Amazon pushback.
It's out for delivery.
Ooh.
As I'm speaking.
And then there's a knock on the door right now. It's your game.
Oh my god.
You're gonna have the UPS sticker that says, "Sorry, we missed you."
Oops.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So do you get any bonuses, or do you start off with any of the stuff that you would have had at the end of Zero Dawn, or do they like explain away why Aloy is now?
Oh no, I
super
lost
weak?
everything in that blizzard.
Hey, literally, no joke, dead ass.
Yeah.
You're almost there.
Oh.
like apparently since the end of the first game she was exploring around, and then there's just this offhanded line where you're like, yeah, I lost all my stuff while traveling, so now all I have is my bow.
Well, I guess she does make a big move because where this takes place, it's quite a distance away from where the first game takes place.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's still pretty fucking lame, but I guess there's something.
Right. I mean, there has to be a reason for you to.
I always love that where there's some super contrived reason I lost all my powers in a game for the sequel. Okay, I must get them back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, how they just have like that weird house fire. It's just like, well, all your shit's gone.
Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game definitely has that syndrome, but you know, this also kind of feels like a not quite soft reboot or anything, but I get the sense that Guerrilla is hoping this game is like, this is the bigger break for Horizon Zero Dawn, or the Horizon franchise, right? Like the first game was like proof of concept. This is like the mainstream, like everyone's gonna love it, is the thing that I'm feeling from like the marketing and what people are talking about now. And I could see it. I could see this being one of like the premier PlayStation franchises moving forward, like the ones that people get really, really excited about, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'll probably have more to talk about it next week when I sink more of my time into it, and you probably will too, I imagine, right?
Absolutely, that'll be what I'm going to be doing for the week.
Yeah, so we can talk about it more next week.
Have a bigger, deeper dive into whatever big lore reveals they are. Turns out that you're a clone.
There's a lot. Well, did you play the first one?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't play the first one, but I have watched the first hour of this one. I don't plan on picking it up, but yeah, I do know that in the end it turns out you're a clone.
There's all kinds of neat. I mean, that's describing it that way makes it sound so lame, but how it's revealed in the story is really cool, if you ask me. There's a lot of stuff that I liked about how they did, because like there's a big not necessarily tonal shift, but you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like there's a certain turning point in the first one where you're just learning so much stuff, and in these weird areas like where the old world, where basically like you learn that humans fucked it up. Surprise. Mm-hmm. And learning what that
so
means
rare.
And how they did it is actually really cool. And they they took some tropes and spun them on their head a little bit that made it interesting. It's like standard sci-fi stuff that you see, and it made it kind of cool. I think they did Alloy a really good job of her character.
Yeah.
The world of Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West is super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Just the presentation as an open world game has turned me off. So
that's what I'm wondering about.
Those kind of plot reveals and stuff did seem really cool, and I could definitely I know that I would have been jazzed if it was like a 10-hour game, and that kind of stuff came out.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious if I'm going to get into this or have that feeling of the open world fatigue. We're kind of this old formula that we've had for open world stuff. There hasn't been much of a change in over a decade, really, to it. It's this big open world, go to this area, here's a thing in this area.
Hit up that Ubisoft tower.
Yeah.
And I'm really wondering if that's going to creep into this too, where it's just like, man, I'm just kind of done with this bloat to a game, this filler. I don't know.
I'll say this. I got to the first little town. This isn't Meridian level stuff. This is just a small my first city, my first town sort of spot. And they present you with a okay, you need to go here to gear up for the next story beat.
Yeah.
And then on your way to go there to gear up, oh look, 4 side quests. You talk to 4 random NPCs who oh no, little Timmy's down in a well. Can you go help? Sort of shit. And God, I
wild
already...
boars have been eating our crops. Can you go kill 6 of them?
I have killed 6 of them, actually. Yes, I have. So yeah, there is a little bit of that, and I couldn't help but be like, oh my, I'm already kind of exhausted of it. I haven't even done a side quest yet, but I'm just exhausted by the idea of it, kind of stuff.
Because even we brought up Breath of the Wild earlier, even that's just okay. This big open thing, and I get it's you're interacting with a bunch of stuff, and people enjoy that fun stuff. But you're there's just a big open world of fucking shit. I have to get over here to do this thing, and I'm kind of getting a little over that, not too into it. And based on what I've read with Forbidden West is that they continue the quality of the side quests of the first game, and that they fucking suck. Because that was by far the worst part of the first game, is that you would do these side quests and it's wow, that was nothing. Waste time. Where in really good open world games, it's holy shit, some of the side quests are the best part of the game or whatever.
Better than the main story.
Yeah. Which
looking at you, Skyrim.
Absolutely not the case with the first game in it, and based on some stuff I read, is kind of continues with the second one, which sucks because it seemed like that was an area where it was really easy identifiable room for improvement kind of thing,
or even winnow it down. Maybe you don't need as many.
Some, Yep, and just really focus on the ones that we feel are really excellent or well designed. I'll give it a shot, but that's my biggest concern is that I'm just oh my god, this open world stuff. I'm so tired of it at this point.
Because you get into the whole the crafting stuff too, where you've got to farm these things to craft the better thing, to then get the different stuff to craft even better stuff, and it's ooh-wee. I mean, it's a lot that you can sink into, right? If you only are going to play one game in February, make sure it's probably Elden Ring, but if not that, maybe this after, right? Because it has a lot of bang for your buck, probably. I don't know. I can't say it. I haven't played Elden Ring, so who knows? Maybe Elden Ring turns out to be bad, but I doubt it.
Yeah, no, I was going to say as well. It's if you're worried about open world fatigue with crafting, it's a good thing that it's not like you have to wait a long amount of time until the next one hits too.
Yeah. I only have a week to beat Horizon, so we'll see how that goes.
Not me. Take as much time as I want, because I'm not playing Elden Ring.
Wow, brave choice.
Brave choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Well, I think that's a wrap for us for this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed our shenanigans here. And if you did, feel free to like and subscribe if you're listening to us on YouTube, and comment down below.
Let us know. Dynasty Warriors 4 is better than Elex.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Or actually, if you're on our site, or if you want to go to our site, we have a new commenting system if you want to leave comments.
It should be live now.
There. Yeah, right? It should be live today. So
provided nothing goes wrong after this records.
It's okay. I'll cut it in post if I have to. But yeah, let us know down below if you like Elex or Dynasty Warriors 4 better. There's only one right answer, and it's neither.
Correct. Dynasty Warriors 4.
Oh, right. Of course. Or if you're listening to us on a podcast app, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, where you can keep getting episodes of this show right in your feed every Monday. If you want more of us, you can go to TechRaptor.net, where we're always posting news, reviews, and features, where you can just read more of the lovely ideas that we have and keep up to date with all the gaming news in the world. We'll be back next Monday. See ya.